Hey, welcome. Jordan here. I am getting ready to take the Edmonton Oilers all the way to the top. We're going to head into franchise mode, enter GM name. That is going to be Jordan Buhat taking the Oilers into the fantasy land. I'm going to turn off owner mode. I don't like dealing with the budgets and revenue and all that kind of stuff. So just computer trades, NHL salary cap are on. Everything else is off. Don't want it. Shout out to Oilers Nation for being the bomb, best podcast. I'm going to sim through the very first season just to get all the computer stats going and stuff like that. Plus, we finished 2019-2020 almost. There's only 4 teams left in the playoffs. So this year doesn't really count. I'm just going to go ahead and skip it. I don't want to sim the past. I want to sim the future. Okay, we are at day 1 of Jordan Buhat taking over Williams. I'm thinking of the Oilers' needs right now. Oh, it auto-drafted for me. Okay, well, I was interested in him at least, so that's good. Wow, the first move that Jordan Buhat makes as general manager, and he fluffs it up. Is anyone on there last year? Here we go. Nurse. So, Nurse. I think we might trade Nurse. I want to see what we can get for Nurse. I really wish Jesse Puljujarvi would work out. Anytime I play this game, he doesn't work out as well, which is unfortunate. I hope he works out in real life. I'm going to try and keep him and try for the very last time to develop Jesse Puljujarvi. Nurse. I was looking at Nurse, but I don't want to just trade him for nothing. I want Nurse for a sniper. Detroit does want Nurse. I want Fabry. I'll give you a round 4 next year for Robbie Fabry. There we go. Okay, so Nurse is gone. You know, I think we've got some good prospects coming up. In we're really going to utilize Bear. We're really going to utilize Bouchard. I don't want to sign that. I don't want to sign. That's a lot of money to sign. I don't want that. Now that the draft is done, now we're going to re-sign the players that we have. Now, I already took care of some of the contracts that I didn't want because they were just a little bit too unmanageable, I thought. Thought Nurse was going to ask for too much, and I wanted to get value for who I want. Okay, so Robbie Fabry is the one who I wanted to offer an extension for, and I want to give him years. I definitely think he can grow, so I want to offer him 5.9, a little bit less than what Nuge was making. That's a big gamble, but I think it's worth. I think it's worth it. So we're gonna release Matt Benning. Maybe not a popular decision, but I want someone who's going to be shooting that puck more often than not. Jesse Puljujarvi. Now he's going to come in cheap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do you want? You want 2.7? I don't want to give you that much. I want to keep you under 2. Yeah, let's do that. Let's keep him under 2 just to see, because if he's not, then you can trade a $2 million contract. Okay, Bear. Another contract. I know he's going to be worth it. So I want to keep him for as long as possible. And if you get 7 years of Ethan Bear at $3.5 million, that is genius. Riley Shahan, I'm going to let you go. I can find someone else that's younger. Granlund, going to let you go. I'm going to keep Colby Cave on my books because I love Mr. Colby Cave. I'm going to keep him on my books for 8 more years. Let's get into it. First season of the Oilers under management of Jordan Buhat, and let us simulate. Let's go to the beginning of October, and let's see how the Oilers do. We are in second place in the division in comparison to the Golden Knights, and that's 13 games in, and you know what? I don't hate that, so let's just continue, and we'll go another month, because then after 2 months, we can kind of really see what we have. 1 month in, things can change real quick. Okay, 14-9-3. Now, that's obviously not blowing the doors off. That is 2 points above not being in the playoffs. So let's just see. We can see how everyone's doing with their line mates. So look at that. Robbie Fabry's actually assisting quite a bit. And that's probably because Leon Draisaitl's scoring all the goals. That's right. Kyle Yamamoto is killing it on that line. This first line's actually doing pretty well, and they are positive plus-minus. Let's take a look at Neil. McDavid is rocking a 23 points, which is really solid, almost point per game. I think we can get him over a point per game, though, if we had the right players with him, maybe. Neil usually should be scoring a little bit more, but that's probably because he's giving the puck a lot to McDavid to score. So Nuge is doing really well on that third line. He's got 16 points in 26 games. I don't mind that at all for a third line, and they are all plus. They're all plus. And Jesse Puljujarvi's actually,
It's 9 points in 26 games. It's not fantastic, but he's a positive in the plus minus. And let's see this fourth line, which actually just like it's actually surprising me how well they're doing. I mean, Cooper Marotti's doing. He's the only minus player in the forwards, but Zach Kassian has 10 points. Jason has 10 points, and that's honestly what I can expect. I think from my fourth line. Let's take a look at our defensemen. Adam Larson, he's a plus. Oscar's a plus. Chris Russell is a huge plus. And Ethan Bear is a plus. This is really good for Bear. Let's see, Koskinen 9-8. I had this feeling that like our goalies were smashing it. Warren Fogle. I'm just still so interested in Warren Fogle. Great. Fogle. Cool. So let's see if Fogle is able to bring a little bit of bump and grind to Draisaitl. All right, let's sim to January 1st. Okay, so we are first in the division. So whatever we're doing right now, it is working. And look at that. Whatever we're doing with Kyler Yamamoto is also working. Let's take a look at the stats here, and we're going to go like this. So Draisaitl, all right, just under a point per game, and Yamamoto is just assisting his face off. So Fogle, keep going with those assists. Just keep chucking them over to Draisaitl and Yamamoto. They're putting it in the back of the net. McDavid, a point behind point per game, which I love. James Real Deal, he's looking really good midseason, and I don't mind that. He's putting up a lot of points. And Seth Griffith, he's keeping his head above water, which I don't mind. Sure, he's, only 0.5 points per game, but he's giving Connor McDavid that reason to fly. He just has that chemistry. Nuge, 30 points out of 51. That's pretty much what I can expect out of him. 10 goals from Joakim, so I don't mind that. And Puljujarvi, he's staying a plus. And I don't mind that. He's staying a plus. Cooper Marotti, now they're in the minus. But Fabry down there is doing okay. He's not doing as good. He's not getting as much playing time, obviously, so that's probably why he's not too happy down here. So who do we trade? We threw Nurse, which turned into Fabry, and then we eventually went for Fogle to replace who we brought in for Nurse. But I reckon it's looking really good because we're having a stellar season from our goalie. 9-4 and a 2-2-2. That is fan-freaking-tastic. So now let us sim to the trade deadline. I wonder if I should do some trading before then. Now let's take a look at any of these contracts who might need moving right now. Let's take a look and see if we can maybe extend any of these guys who need to be extended. Nuge. So there's Nuge. Yamamoto needs extending. And I want to extend him for... Oh, look, he's looking for $7 million. I should have extended him, I think, in January. 1 year, huh? 4 years, $7 million. I just know that he's going to rack in. I know that kind of like Yamamoto, if you keep him good enough, he's going to give you points. That's my whole thing is I want to keep people around when they're not $10 million. You know what I mean? Can we do 5 years at 7.5? Are you going to go for that? I want to keep Griffith. Keep him for 2 years and keep McDavid with that plus, because someone who I know keeps McDavid in a +5, I want to keep around. Who's at the top here? Mr. Nugent Hopkins. The thing is, Nuge doesn't bring in a lot of points, so it's really hard for me because he's one of my favorite players. So I'm going to try and keep him around for... I might even see if there's someone out there who might want Nuge. He's actually pretty decent, and he's on the third line, so I really don't think that it's crucial to our scoring. Alex Kerfoot. And Kerfoot's signed, which I like, for multiple years on a cheaper deal, too. And he gets points. So I wonder if they would swing for Nugent Hopkins. So I want your fourth then, and I want next year's third. Sorry, Nuge. It breaks my heart a little, but, I got to keep the salary down. Yeah, and look at that. He actually does work on his third line. I want to see if he'll take an extension at $5 million, because he's on that first line for 2 years. Let's just see. So Adam Larson is going to stay for 2 years. Yamamoto is going to stay for all those years. Seth Griffith is going to stay. That's excellent. So it is the end of year 1 under management of Jordan Buhat. Let us take a look at how these Oilers did this year. Okay, so, you can't be mad at point per game, but I wish Connor McDavid did a little bit more. Of course, with his wingers that he had, which is always the situation, he did his best, and he still hit 40 goals. So McDavid, Draisaitl, Yamamoto, all over a point per game, and now Yamamoto is with us for the long term. He will keep producing if you keep him on Draisaitl's line. I promise that. James Real Deal Neal, he's keeping it up there, and I think at 33 years old, he's got 1 or maybe 2 good years left. 55 points, that is exactly kind of what Nuge would have given me. I'm so sorry, Nuge, but you are also cheaper and a little bit younger and signed for years. Seth Griffith actually gave us half a point per game on McDavid's wing, so I like that. Let's go to defenseman. Clefbaum, everyone's a plus. Look at that. Everybody's a plus. That's really, really good. And Larson had 31 points, which is really solid. Clefbaum hit 10 points. We need someone who's going to put the puck in the net, though. None of these defensemen are really shooters or goal scorers. But let's see where we ended up in the division. We ended up first in the division. Heyo! And we had the most amount of goals. And let's see how we did with goals against. Third in goals against. We are going to be heading into the playoffs now. And so in the playoffs, the Oilers are playing the Vegas Golden Knights. I think we can do it. So let's get in there. Let's start simming. Okay, here we go. Let's speed that up there. Power play, power play, power play. Come on, let's go, Oilers. So pretty even. 2 shots, 3 shots. Edmonton versus Vegas. And Seth Griffith. Oh, yeah, probably a little pass from Connor McDavid. Scores the first goal of the series on Marc-Andre Fleury, who is still there in Vegas. Robin Leonard is not starting. And Adam Larson gets it right before the end of the first. So that is very exciting. Let us keep on going. Power play, and Leon Draisaitl scores in the very first minute of the second period on a power play. And Connor McDavid scores on another power play. Oilers are running away from this. I don't know if Vegas is going to catch up. And there it is. Nick Hague scores to bring them within 3. I do not believe that they're going to be able to catch up in that third period, though. But you never know. 3 goals were scored in this second period. It could happen again. Let's see, the Oilers just need to hold on. Perhaps another big goal from their top 2 lines, which is basically what's been happening. But I'd like to see a little bit of contribution from perhaps the bottom 6. But the defense has been contributing quite a bit. Very even in shots. It just looks like Koskinen has been winning today's battle. That's it. So let's take a look at who scored the goals and where they all came from. So Seth Griffith from McDavid and James Neal. Adam Larson probably from the point with Alex Kerfoot, Jesse Puljujarvi. There we go. So that is some bottom 6 contribution. And Leon Draisaitl from McDavid on that power play. McDavid from Draisaitl and Neal again on that power play. The big boys were leading the way, but we actually had some contribution from the defense and from the bottom 6. Toronto is in the playoffs, so Nuge is in the playoffs. Maybe we'll meet Nuge. Let's try and take this game. 2 games up would be nice against the Vegas Golden Knights. And Joakim Nygard, again, that third line is contributing. I like that. Power play Oilers doesn't go anywhere. We are halfway through the first period, and we're looking for a second goal. Ooh, that is a second goal from the 4th line now. Cooper Marotti, that center, who actually did really well throughout the season, makes it 2-0, 2-0 going into the second period. Let's go. Vegas they're not far behind on the shots, so I wouldn't be surprised if they end up throwing one in the net, but Koskinen has been doing really well. If I believe it's Koskinen, I think the coach is probably going to play Koskinen for the playoffs. Wouldn't be surprised to see Malcolm Subban. He had an equally good season. Heading into the third, it looks like a 2-0. Oh, here we go. Oilers going into the third with 2-0, perhaps also taking this series 2-0. 15 minutes ago, power play Oilers, McDavid scores. I'm going to put a bet that was an assist from Draisaitl because they have been connecting this entire playoffs, even though they're not playing on the same line 5-on-5. 5-on-4 power play for the Oilers. This is a long one, and it looks like Vegas is not going to be able to solve the Oilers in Edmonton at Rogers Place. So let's check out who scored what There we go. Joachim Nygaard from Clefbaum and Kerfoot. So that third line contribution. Cooper Marotti from Robbie Fabry and Alex Chason. Maybe it's really good that we keep Robbie Fabry down there. I'm sure that he's in the playoffs. He's not upset about where he's playing now. Connor McDavid from Yamamoto and Leon Draisaitl. So let us go to Game 3. I just want to say Koskinen has been playing stellar the very first 2 games of the series. Let's see if he can keep that up at the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. I'm surprised I actually remembered that it was the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. I think it's because it's such a cool arena. Oilers on the power play, and Alex Kerfoot, another contribution from the bottom 6, scores on the power play. It's a 1-0 lead for Edmonton. Vegas, Edmonton trading penalty kills. Oh, and Evan Bouchard gets one from the slot, scoring for 2-0 lead on Vegas. Marc-Andre Fleury not able to solve this team yet, but Alex Tuch scores right before the end of the first period. It is only a 2-1 lead for Edmonton, so we are not going to say that they are going to take a 3-0 lead quite yet. Connor McDavid does make it a little bit more obvious, though, with a 3-1 goal, and Cooper Marotti from the fourth line, who is an underdog so far in this playoffs. He is scoring for us, 2 goals already, and C. Stephenson from Vegas makes it 4-2. We are heading into the third period with a 2-goal lead over the Vegas Golden Knights. Hopefully they do not solve Koskinen for the very first time in these playoffs. But Joachim Nygaard, there we go. The third line still contributing. Really, really solid depth scoring through this first series. It's really exciting to see. We're heading down to 5 minutes left in the third period for a possible 3-0 stranglehold on this series against Vegas. And it is a 3-0 lead. Let's take a look at who all the goal scorers are. So Alex Kerfoot from Robbie Fabry, that was on the power play, I believe. Evan Bouchard from Yamamoto and Draisaitl, sweet. Yamamoto and Draisaitl making that magic, helping out. Evan Bouchard. Connor McDavid with a goal, his third of the playoffs, with Seth Griffith and James Neal. That +5 is helping them out. Cooper Marotti, Robbie Fabry connecting on that fourth line, which is really excellent. And Joachim Nygaard, Alex Kerfoot contributing again from that bottom 6. I love to see the depth scoring, which is what the real-life Edmonton Oilers sort of lack. So let's go to the fourth game. Can the Oilers sweep the Vegas Golden Knights in Vegas nonetheless? So we are heading in with a power play, and Leon Draisaitl right away, within 5 minutes, scores on Marc-Andre Fleury to make this a 1-0 lead for Edmonton. And Alex Tuch quickly returns, and with Warren Foegele on the very first line, his first playoff goal as an Edmonton Oiler to make it 2-1, possibly 3-1. Leon Draisaitl looks like that first line is taking this game away to head into the second period. Oilers starting on a power play, and I don't think it's a long one, though. Must have been a major penalty from Vegas. Vegas now on the power play, hoping that first line can bring... Oh, but it is not. It is Cooper Marotti with his third goal of the playoffs. He is this year's Fernando Pisani. Cooper Marotti, he's got a place on this team next year if he can keep this up. Remember, Cooper Marotti, 2021 playoffs. Very exciting. So we're heading into the third period. It is 4-1, looking dim for the Vegas Golden Knights to even win one game against the Oilers in this playoffs. They do come back within 2. Mark Stone with a power play goal on Mikko Koskinen. Had to be a power play. Doesn't look like 5-on-5 is going very well for the Vegas Golden Knights, and they are not going to be able to solve these Oilers. McDavid with a late goal, and that is it. The Oilers have swept the Vegas Golden Knights in the first round of these playoffs. Leon Draisaitl with Evan Bouchard and Connor McDavid with that first power play goal. Alex Tuch brought it back. Warren Foegele with his first power play goal with Kyler Yamamoto and with Leon Draisaitl. You have those two making magic. You're able to do stuff. Warren Foegele also gets an assist on Leon Draisaitl's second goal of the game, and Cooper Marotti from Robbie Fabry killing it, and Connor McDavid with Seth Griffith. That +5 is working for him. So let's just give a high five to Mikko Koskinen, the Sony player of the series. Most valuable is gonna go to Mikko Koskinen, a .957 percentage. It was going to go to Cooper Marotti, but he has 3 goals in 4 games. great, fantastic, great depth player. I'm going to give Cooper Marotti the Fernando Pisani Award of the series for being the most underrated fantastic player. But the Sony player of the series is Mikko Koskinen, 957. Woof. And we're going to play the Los Angeles Kings. Ooh, here we go. Let's head into Los Angeles and see if we can keep up that momentum. It was a long time ago, so it's a beginning of a new series here. Los Angeles already up 3-0 in shots, 4-0 in shots. Edmonton needs to respond with 3 shots. There you go. And there's a power play goal from Jeff Carter on Mikko Koskinen. This is going to be a tougher series. I already know that. Edmonton, power play goes nowhere. Carl Grundstrom scores on Mikko Koskinen, 2-0 heading into the second period. The very first time the Oilers are heading into a period down. So the power play goes nowhere. It's 5-on-5 yet again. LA has been controlling the game. It is halfway through the second period. Oilers still not able to solve who is in net over there. I wonder, are we going to even find out? I find out when we score. So that is the third period. We have 2-0 for Los Angeles Kings. First 5 minutes of the period, we are shorthanded. Edmonton is not able to solve this goalie quite yet. Probably the first 2 forwards. We're looking at Robbie Fabry, the fourth line. I always say it that whenever I'm looking for a goal from the first 2, it ends up being the fourth line. And that is really good. That's a really good comeback. This could be a lower scoring series. So we're looking at Alex Chase on Robbie Fabry scoring from that fourth line, but we just could not solve. So it is actually Yaroslav Halak, not Jonathan Quick. Jonathan Quick is backing up Yaroslav Halak. So the first game, the Oilers are down. Let's head to the second game and see if the Oilers can bounce back. It is the first period. Edmonton is looking to get up early, and no one is getting up early because no one's taking any shots. But the Oilers are hoping that wouldn't happen. And Dustin Brown, solid veteran, scores on Mikko Koskinen halfway through the first. It is 1-0. Anze Kopitar, their veterans are taking the lead in this game. But Kyler Yamamoto, the youth newly signed, scores on Yaroslav Halak, followed by Connor McCaptain David and Evan Bouchard. And it is an all-out shootout in this game. 3-2 for Edmonton. The goalies are letting everything in today, so hopefully the Oilers can. There we go. They do score. Leon Draisaitl on Yaroslav Halak. Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid. The 4 lines are rolling yet again in this game, in this series. Let's keep that up. Oscar Klefbom, some depth even from the blue line. 5-2 heading into the third period. It is hard for anyone to solve a 3-goal deficit at all in this game. So it is 5-2, 27 shots, even apiece. We are looking for hopefully no action, no goals to be scored. I would be very happy. Carl Grundstrom gets his second, I believe, of the series and scores on the Oilers, but it's not going to be enough. Oilers walk away 5-3. Very exciting, high-scoring game. People love that. That gets your heart going. Let's go into the goals, and let's see here. Kyle Yamamoto from Leon Draisaitl, and Mikko Koskinen gets on the board. Connor McDavid over from James Neal and Ethan Bear. I think that's his first point of the playoffs. Evan Bouchard, his second. And Alex Kerfoot keeps on contributing. Leon Draisaitl scores another. Warren Foegele is rolling now. Oscar Klefbom had a heck of a game with a goal and an assist. Carl Grundstrom tried to bring it back, but he could not. Let us keep that momentum going. Heading to LA, it is even. We split the home ice advantage. Let's see if we can do the same or better in Los Angeles. So there are 5 minutes in, and it looks like Dustin Brown is going to get the first goal again for the Los Angeles Kings, and it looks like he's from lower in the there we go. But Leon Draisaitl comes on back. He's going to shoot. What is that goal? That is from mid-ice. Oh, my gosh. He must have just winged that and must have had a funky bounce, and Yaroslav Halak could not manage it. But the Oilers are up in shots by 5. So that is a good sign.
and Warren Fogle. That first line, Caleb Jones, 2 goals within a minute, and it's 3-1. It is now 4-1 power play goal for James Neal and Yaroslav Halak. He might be chased out of this game. Let's see. Oilers are slamming. There we go. Jonathan Quick is now in the net, but Kyler Yamamoto scores on him as well. It is 5-1. Los Angeles Kings had the very first game, could solve them for that one, but the Oilers have adjusted, and they are laying a beat down on this LA Kings team. 5-1 in the third, nearly double shots for Edmonton. I don't see a way that LA is going to be able to come back, even if they get 1, 2, 3 goals. There's Martin Frick on Koskinen scoring that goal, but Koskinen has been really solid, never really allowing more than 3 goals, and in this game, that won't happen. 5-2 Oilers. It is a 2-1 series. Very, very exciting. So, let's see. Leon Draisaitl from Warren Fogle. Warren Fogle from Kyler and Draisaitl. Caleb Jones, Draisaitl, Yamamoto. Draisaitl is in on the first 1, 2, 3, 4 goals. And his line, Yamamoto and Fogle, also he goes off the ice, and basically Draisaitl is part of all 5 goals, basically. It is now a 2-1 lead for the Oilers against this LA Kings team. So, this is a very pivotal game. This will make it 2-2 or 3-1. And if it's 3-1, that's a very hard series to come back from. 5 minutes into the 4th game of the series, Edmonton has a power play and it goes nowhere, and they are taking the shots and they are throwing them at Yaroslav Halak once again. 3 times the amount of shots that the LA Kings have, and they are double with 10, 11 to 6 in shots, but not able to solve Yaroslav Halak. It does not matter how many shots you get on net if none of them pass them, because just like that, Anze Kopitar scores on Mikko Koskinen. Anze Kopitar has had a decent series, but it's erased by Seth Griffith, probably an assist. It looks like 5-on-5 from Connor McDavid on Yaroslav Halak. The shots are more even than I expected from the last time I looked. Heading into the 3rd period, it is a quick goal for Warren Fogle, 2-1. Perhaps an assist from Kyler, perhaps an assist from Draisaitl, maybe even both. 3rd period, 2-1. Draisaitl scores within the first 3 minutes, and they are taking this game away. They are up by 8 shots, and they are not going to stop. Halfway through the period, 3-1. Oilers over the Kings, and we are going to go 5 minutes left. Looks like the Oilers are going to take this game unless there's last-second heroics, and there is from Jeff Carter, but that is it. That is all they can muster. 3-2, Edmonton Oilers, and that is very interesting. I want to see how many games in a row Koskinen has kept the goals under 3, which I really, really like. Seth Griffith from Connor McDavid, very good. Warren Fogle from Draisaitl. Draisaitl from Kyler, and it looks like, what a great game. Great game. 3-1. That's really, really good to see from the Edmonton Oilers. Let's see if the Oilers can finish this series in the 5th game. Take this series 4-1. Can they do it? They are in Edmonton. They are at Rogers Place. Back home, the cheers are louder than ever because quarantine does not happen in NHL 20. LA Kings on a long power play. They can't get it done, but they are outshooting the Oilers heavily. 10-5 heading into the 2nd period. It's closer, 12-7, but Oilers need to pick it up. 2nd period, 0-0. The Edmonton Oilers have not yet scored on Yaroslav Halak, who has been a sieve in this series. So let's see what that first line can do. And Jeff Carter, who has been a regular scorer in this series, scores on the power play. But Connor McDavid comes right back. And Jesse Puljujärvi gets his first goal of the playoffs. We kept him around for a reason, and it is for that go-ahead goal heading into the 3rd. 2-1 game lead, Edmonton over LA. Can we get another goal from the bottom 6 of Edmonton? But this is a long power play that LA Kings are on, and they don't score there, but they do score 5-on-5. Pierre Ledoux, I don't know if his name's Pierre, but that's what I want to call him. And Edmonton, the LA Kings, 2-2, heading into overtime. So let us check this out. We are in overtime, and I had my controller on there, but now it is off, and it is all computer generated. Let's see if these Oilers can win this game in Game 5 and head to the next series of the Stanley Cup Final. Yamamoto, Draisaitl shoots Halak with a great glove save on Leon. Look at that, top 10 in goals in the playoffs is Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid with 6 and 5. Draisaitl out there with Warren Foegele, Kyler Yamamoto. And it is a face-off loss. Looks like Travis Hamonic is now in Los Angeles from Calgary. Kopitar comes in, breaks his stick. And we have Draisaitl over to Griffith. Looks like that first line is coming on. James Reel, Dylan Neal. Over to Griffith. Back to Larson. They're just trying to find an open hole to get through. Drew Doughty has the puck. Scooching it over to Little Kopitar. To Foley. Breaking through. Dustin Brown is going to cycle over to Hutton. It's not getting through, but Adam Larson is there. Oh, loses it. It looks like Toffoli. Brown scores in overtime. Dustin Brown scores to take the series 3-2, and the Oilers are not happy about that. Let's see if Oilers can take this in Game 6. Let's not let them get back into this series. We do not want that. Anything can happen in a Game 7. The whole series starts over if Game 7 happens. So Edmonton, let's go. You are outshooting them. You have the momentum. There's a power play. Let's go. Power play goal. Nothing. No. Oilers outshooting the LA Kings still heading into the second period, and it is even. It is a high shot affair as well. And Adrian Kempe, I believe it's Adrian, scores on Mikko Koskinen. Oilers with the power play. LA Kings with the power play. Double power play still, and it is not going to go anywhere. But the Oilers still have not been able to solve Yaroslav Halak, and the shots are very even. When the shots are even like this, LA Kings have been able to shut down the Oilers. So heading into the third, Oilers fans are wondering if they're actually going to be able to come back. The LA Kings doing their best to get to a Game 7, and they're doing a great job of it. Velarde scores second goal of the LA Kings on the Edmonton Oilers. Don't know if the Edmonton Oilers are going to be able to come back down 2 goals, and Game 7 is going to happen. The Oilers could not score in that game. So the last time the Oilers could not score in a game, the next game they lit up the Los Angeles Kings. So let us see if the same thing can happen yet again. Oilers, Kings, Game 7. Oilers on a long power play. Nothing happens. Not that many shots. Let's go. Oilers are doubling up in shots. Here we go. 8-4. That's good. Tyler Toffoli gets the early goal on Mikko Koskinen, though. LA Kings doing a great job of playing the spoilers for the Edmonton Oilers because the Edmonton Oilers were up 3-1, and that is Andy Green scoring on Mikko Koskinen. Oilers are having a hard time solving Halak in these last 2 games, who has been the superstar. 5-4 power play. Let's go. Here we go. Oilers do not score. That's a shorthanded goal from Andy Green on Mikko Koskinen. It looks like the Edmonton Oilers are going to fall unless they have an outlandish third period. Here we go. Early goal from the Edmonton Oilers. I don't think so. I don't see it. It looks like it is all going downhill for the Edmonton Oilers here. Power play, LA Kings not able to take a shorthanded goal like the Kings did, and the Oilers have 5-4, 32, 34 shots, so they were up 3-1 in the series, and they are going to fall to the LA Kings. Cooper Marati doing his best to keep the Oilers season alive. And that is it. That is it. Season-ending game for the Edmonton Oilers. They were up 3-1, and they lose 3 straight games. So that's great. Let's take a look at the end of season awards. Leon Draisaitl did his best to muscle this team into the next round. 15 points in 11 games. McDavid, 11 points. Kyler Yamamoto, 11 points. And Warren Fogle shows up, 8 points in 11 games. James Real Deal also doing his best. We actually had some decent scoring. What happened was after that first series, no, Mikko Koskinen was good. It's just that we couldn't score more. Let's take a look at the awards from this year. The Stanley Cup goes to the Philadelphia Flyers, and it is the Chicago Blackhawks who took home the President's Trophy. It was San Jose versus Philadelphia in the final, so LA didn't even make it to the end, so we lost to someone who wasn't in the final. Ovechkin wins the Art Ross for most points for the second year in a row. Hart goes to Bo Horvat. That's exciting. Shane Gostisbehere with the James Norris. Very exciting. He had a high, crazy high, plus minus. Phil Kessel is taking home the Lady Byng. Calder Memorial goes to the LA Kings. Marja Mackey, I don't think he even showed up in our series at all. Conn Smythe, Jakub Voracek, they did win the Stanley Cup. Vezina goes to Hart. That goalie must have just taken it. Yeah, absolutely. Travis Hamonic, Bill Masterson Memorial. Very nice. Okay. Jack Adams goes to Ryan of Chicago. I mean, how did they win the President's Trophy? Patrice Bergeron with yet another Selke. Ted Lindsay goes to Alex DeBrincat. That's year one. A little disappointing there at the end, but I was actually pretty pleased to get into the second round of the playoffs, and our players did really well. So if we can just build on this, then perhaps year two can go even better. So let's focus in on that. We'll come back. We'll take a look at some players next season. We're going to get that cup, and Connor McDavid will raise that cup above his head with Leon Draisaitl. Those two I want to keep on this team for as long as possible. So thank you, everybody. Catch you on the flippity flip.